Alright, so everyone's heard people say that ignorance is bliss, but after reading each book, Ender's Game, The Heart of Darkness, and Frankenstein, I came to the conclusion that the authors of each one want to prove the opposite, that ignorance can actually lead to despair. First of all, in The Heart of Darkness, the ignorance comes from the European culture, and what they do is they go and force their influences on the African culture. They're ignorant to the fact that there can be differences and that maybe their way isn't the better way. And the despair that this causes is they attack each other, they don't get along, and it causes hate and slavery in that novel. In Frankenstein, the victor, his ignorance comes from creating the creature. He is ignorant to what, all he wants is the glory. He doesn't think about what creating this creature means, like what it's going to do. And his despair comes, this creature comes alive and he hates it. And it leads to him, his family ends up dying, he ends up dying out of misery. So his own ignorance of not thinking things through and not understanding what his actions are going to cause or what lead to his own despair. And also in Frankenstein, the creature's ignorance leads to his own despair. He's generally, like, he starts off as good, like he has good intentions, he is very cautious, a nice being, but then when things don't go his way, all he wants is revenge. And this idea of revenge is ignorant because he doesn't think it through. He doesn't understand what this idea is going to lead to. That all he cares is his revenge. He doesn't care about what this is going to do, how it's going to inflict him, how he's going to feel afterwards. And he gets his revenge, and afterwards he feels awful. He's sitting there standing over Victor's dead body, weeping because of how ashamed he felt. And that's his despair, his ignorance of not understanding what his feelings are leading to. That's what his despair ended up being. And last, in Ender's Game, first would be Earth as a whole is ignorant to a whole other world being out there. They're ignorant to the fact that the buggers don't have ill intentions against them. They don't try to understand this other species, and instead of trying to figure out what's going wrong or what this other species is, they just want to get rid of them. They commit a complete genocide, and this leads to a despair of a whole entire species. And I mean, that's the case in many different things. Instead of two cultures understanding each other, they're too ignorant to talk to each other and figure things out. They just try to wipe the other one out. And last in Ender's Game would be Ender. What he's ignorant to is a lot of things. He doesn't understand the situation he's in. He's kind of just a weapon. He doesn't even understand that he has killed people. He doesn't understand that he's actually killing the species. He thinks he's just in the game. And in the end, he ends up feeling awful. He finds out he's killed when he killed Stitzleton, Bonzo, and he finds out he wiped out a whole country, not country, but planet, and he feels awful. He was too ignorant to try to look into it. He had thoughts of like, well, he started kind of realizing that maybe this other species isn't so bad, but he was too ignorant to try to figure out what was going on. Instead, he let the older ones use him. Then at the end of the book, he feels awful, and he just becomes the speaker of the dead, doesn't really want to develop relationships with anybody. So the common theme between all these books is that if people are ignorant, they're going to end up doing things that they regret in the end. And that what people have to do is think their actions through, understand the world around them, and understand the consequences of everything you do.